Only 4 hours left for those seeking to replace Chief Justice Willie Mutunga to submit their applications. Who will be the next Chief Justice of Kenya? A very good afternoon to you. You're watching KTN Newsdesk with me, Michelle Ngele. The highlights. Who will replace Willie Mutunga? It is deadline day for applicants as search for new CJ continues. Last journey for the Mavoko 3 as civil society calls for speedy investigations into their murder.
I just saw cops bending over, man. Like, it had to be like 5 or 6 cops, like they was all getting shot down, man.
And 5 police officers gunned down in Dallas, USA as anti-racist police protest turns deadly. Welcome to the program. Applicants seeking to replace retired Chief Justice Willie Mutunga have until 5 p.m. this afternoon to submit their applications. The deadline, initially set for Thursday, was pushed to today by the Judicial Service Commission after Thursday was declared a public holiday to celebrate Eid ul-Fitri. Former Speaker Kenneth Marende and rights activist Makau Mutua are among those who have already applied for the position. Others interested in the position include Supreme Court Judge Smokin Wanjala and Court of Appeal Judge Al-Nashir Vishram. All right, let's now take a look at the 7 who have already applied for that position of Chief Justice. Remember, 5 p.m. is the deadline for that. We have former Speaker Kenneth Marende, who will be remembered mostly for his Solomonic rulings in the 10th Parliament. 2 years ago, he quit active politics and under position in the Jubilee government as the chair of the Kenya Power Board. Moving on, we also have Professor Makau Mutua, who is the chairman of the Kenya Human Rights Commission. He is also a distinguished scholar lecturing at the State University of New York. Moving on, we have Judge Smokin Wanjala, judge of the Supreme Court. He was said to be a close ally and confidant of retired Chief Justice Willie Mutunga. And Smokin, of course, was selected as the chairman of the Judicial Service Commission Human Resource Management Committee, just to ensure that human resource issues in the judiciary go on right. Now, 5 p.m. is the deadline for this, so it's just 4 hours for more people to apply for this position. We also have David Maranga, a judge of the Court of Appeal. David Maranga chaired the tribunal that was put together to investigate the conduct of suspended High Court Judge Joseph Mutava. He is once again one of those contending for the position of the second Chief Justice of Kenya. Another judge of the Court of Appeal here, Al-Nashir Vishram, also contending to take the position of the second Chief Justice of Kenya. And in 2012, interesting, he was the choice of retired President Mwai Kibaki to be the Chief Justice of Kenya back in 2012. We also have High Court Judge Musaga Mbogoli. He was appointed as a judge back in 1987 at the tender age of 34. In October 2010, he was also appointed as the principal of the High Court, and that means that he was the head of the High Court at the time, but he was succeeded by the next contender for the position of Chief Justice, and that is High Court Judge Richard Mwongo, who is the current principal of the High Court. He has been very vocal in ensuring that judges as well as politicians follow the Constitution, having championed for Constitution reforms back in the 1990s. So these are the 7 candidates, or 7 applicants rather, for the position of the Chief Justice so far. Remember, the position of Chief Justice fell vacant after retired Chief Justice Willie Mutunga decided to voluntarily retire on the 16th of June this year. So 5 p.m. is the deadline, and we're expecting more names, at least more applicants, to fill in for the position of the second Chief Justice of Kenya. Now, the Council of Governors chairman, who is also the governor for Meru County, Peter Munya, has recommended that the next Chief Justice be appointed a person who has moral qualities, courageous and not money-minded. Speaking in Meru when he held an Eid ul-Fitri party for Muslims living in Meru, Munya said that for years the judiciary has been manipulated by outsiders, making it appear as a compromised institution. Munya added that as governors, they expect the Judicial Service Commission to conduct the exercise in a transparent manner.
Over the years, by the executive arm of government, and the way the rule of law has been affected over the years, and people have suffered injustice for many years, we consider the judiciary an extremely important arm of government that must always be kept independent of either the legislative arm or the executive arm. And when I'm talking about the executive arm, I even mean the executive arm of the county government. So I'm not accusing any particular arm. I'm saying the judiciary is supposed to be kept separate and independent from any whims, so that citizens can be guaranteed that when they appear before a judge, they will find justice.
Now, away from that, a requiem mass for the slain lawyer Willie Kimani, his client Josephat Mwenda, and taxi driver Joseph Mwiruri, whose killings sparked outrage, was conducted earlier this morning here in Nairobi. The three were abducted on the 23rd of last month after they attended a court in Mavoko in a case involving an administration police officer. Lawyers have held protests across the country and have all week been boycotting court sessions to protest the killings. 4 police officers remain in police custody after suspected involvement in the killings and are expected to plead to the charges on the 18th of this month. Here now is part of this morning's Requiem Mass.
Mugambi and the entire family and friends of Josephat Mwenda, we stand with you in your time of grief. I would like to thank the Honorable Ambassador Robert Godek and His Excellency Ambassador Johan Borgstam for coming today to show your support for these families. We wish to express our deep appreciation for the support and service provided by all Kenyan authorities, and especially the Flying Squad and members of the Directorate of Criminal Investigation for assisting in the rigorous investigation of these deaths in these days. We are also grateful today for the presence in solidarity of the following organizations: the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, Amnesty International, International Commission of Jurists, Kenya, International Center for Transitional Justice, Kenya Human Rights Commission, Independent Medical Legal Unit, Freedom House, Rights Protection and Promotion Center, Kenyans for Peace with Truth and Justice, National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders, and other members.
Right, now Timothy Otieno attended that Requiem Mass and now joins us live. Timothy, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. What stood out most for you in this Requiem Mass this morning?
Well, Michelle, of course, the calls to have justice for the three again echoed at the mass here at the Consolata Shrine, where the families of the three slain men were represented: Joseph Muiruri, Willie Kimani, as well as Josephat Mwenda, who were killed. Of course, the Law Society of Kenya once again did demand that the government needs to end extrajudicial killings. The Law Society of Kenya President Isaac Okero, in his address to the family and friends who gathered here, insisting that the three indeed needed to be martyrs, and actually described them as martyrs of justice, and they had died seeking justice for one Josephat Mwenda and had paid the ultimate price for that. And the Law Society of Kenya insisting that they still stand with the friends and family and that they will ensure that justice for the three is indeed achieved and attained through a fair and credible investigation process, as well as a judicial process that will ensure that those who are found culpable of the crimes will be brought to book Akisa. But for the first time, this is a point where the three men move from being statistics of alleged extrajudicial killings to the point where we get to know and find out that these are actually three men who had lives, who had wives, who had careers, friends, colleagues and families, who were gathered this morning to bid them farewell in this Requiem Mass. Remember, two of the three men actually had families. Willie Kimani was a 32-year-old who was a father of two, had a wife and two kids, both of them boys, a 4-year-old and a 9-month-old son who have since been left fatherless. Josephat Mwenda himself was a father of a daughter of a 3-year-old, and it now comes down to that when we find out that actually these were lives that have been affected. So much was said, of course. The CEO for the International Justice Mission, where lawyer Willie Kimani was working, indeed expressing regret and concern over the deaths, and indeed saying that the three men had actually soldiered on and were in the quest for justice when they met their death, and have insisted that they are adding their voice to those who want justice for the three. Michelle.
Right, and Timothy, in the past few weeks, we've had the opposition condemn extrajudicial killings. Did we have any members of the opposition present there today?
Interestingly, no member of the official opposition coalition CORD was present. We were able, however, to spot the Makueni Senator, Senator Johnson, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, I beg your pardon, here during the service that was ongoing. No political entities other than him were present here during the Requiem Mass, but of course, the CEO for the International Justice Mission was present, as well as the president of the Law Society of Kenya, as well as other notable legal minds, including Senior Counsel John Kaminwa, who was present here, the former LSK president Eric Mutua, indeed present, but no politicians were present during this mass. Michelle.
All right, thank you very much. Timothy Otieno there, just updating us on the Requiem Mass for slain human rights advocate Willie Kimani, his client Josephat Mwenda, and taxi driver Joseph Muiruri. Away from that, CORD leader Raila Odinga is expected to address a public rally in Suna, Migori County any time from now for the homecoming of Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed, following his release from Pangani Police Station, where him, together with other members of Parliament, were locked up for spreading hate messages. We're now joined live by phone by Nyanza Region Bureau Chief John, who is in Migori County, and he will be joining us a bit later for that conversation. Moving on now. A total of 11 officers were shot during a demonstration against the deaths of 2 African Americans, Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. 5 police officers have been killed and 6 wounded after alleged snipers fired shots during a protest about the killing of 2 black men by police this week. 3 people, 2 men and a woman, have been taken into custody after the ambush shooting on Thursday night, which police described as a carefully planned and executed ambush. Police were involved in a standoff with another suspect in a garage where gunfire was exchanged, while bomb squads are investigating a suspicious package.
All of the cops were getting shot, man. I just saw cops bending over, man. Like, it had to been like 5 or 6 cops, like they was all getting shot down, man. It was right after the rally. Like, we were just walking to the car, man. All the cops. How many? Like, I saw about 3. I saw 3. You did? Like, while we was running, like, they just kept shooting them. It's coming. We don't know where it's coming from. But it was every time. I didn't see anybody else get getting shot. It was just the cops.
You're watching KTN Newsdesk. Let's take a short break now. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more. Right, welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. We're glad you're watching. Let's have a recap of our top story this hour. Applicants seeking to replace retired Chief Justice Willie Mutunga have until 5 p.m. this afternoon to submit their applications. The deadline, initially set for Thursday, was pushed to today by the Judicial Service Commission after Thursday was declared a public holiday to celebrate Eid ul-Fitr. Former Speaker Kenneth Marende and human rights activist Makau Mutua are among those who have already applied for the position. Others interested in the position include Supreme Court Judge Smokin Wanjala and Court of Appeal Judge Al-Nashir Vishram. Moving on now, Kenya's first ever fertilizer plant could be up and running before the end of the year. The plant being built by Toyota Shusho Company, contracted by the Kenyan government, says the plant will be operational by August this year. The fertilizer plant is expected to increase crop productivity and create employment as manpower is required in the plants.
As farmers of this country, we are delighted to have this plant, not just here in Nigeria, because it is going to produce fertilizer, and not just any other fertilizer, but fertilizer that is crop and soil specific. And therefore, what we anticipate for us as a county is we will have fertilizer specific for Moiben, you will have fertilizer specific for Tarbo, you will have fertilizer specific for Ainapkoi. Farmers will have fertilizer specific for cane, they will have fertilizer specific for wheat production, they will have fertilizer specific for maize production, and any other crop that is grown in Kenya, that fertilizer can be constituted here.
The capacity of the plant is 150,000 metric tons per year. So obviously, depending on whether we work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you can work back. The important thing is to ensure that we have the fertilizer, the correct fertilizer, available at the correct time during the season.
To a rather bizarre story now, and the residents of a village in Kinangop are in shock after a 13-year-old boy stabbed an 11-year-old girl to death after she is reported to have rejected his sexual advances. The boy is said to have stabbed the girl 7 times. The bizarre incident occurred at an oat plantation in Magumu village. Her cry for help attracted residents nearby who rushed into the plantation and found her in a pool of her own blood, left for dead. She was rushed to a nearby health center, but her injuries were severe. The family is yet to come to terms with her death at the hands of their neighbor and friend's son. The boy is said to be in police custody as investigations begin.
Kwa hivyo tukaagana ni vizuri twende mpaka pale tujue ni nini kinachoendelea. Kufika pale tukasikia hiyo sauti ilikuwa inatoka kwa majani, na huyo mtoto sasa alikuwa analia akisema asaidiwe.
Kijana alikuwa anasema kwenda kununua sweet, alikuwa anataka kulala na duta. Saida aliona mali mngengana sana, akasikia peace.
The demon had transport, and the transport of that demon is illegal alcohol, drugs, very, very bad habits we're picking from internet.
West Pokot County leaders have initiated a 3-day peace caravan that began on Thursday along the county's borders with an aim to strengthen its relationship with the neighboring communities. The leaders have called on residents to continue living in peace with their neighbors and to also support government-initiated projects which are meant to develop the area. The peace caravan initiative, which ends on Saturday with a rally in Kapenguria constituency, is viewed as an opportunity to involve residents and plan on the impending political direction.
Kwa sababu amani inapatikana, tunawapongeza na tunataka muendelee kuweka amani hivyo. Kwa sababu pasipo amani hakuna maendeleo. Kwa hiyo miaka michache ambayo amani inapatikana, maendeleo inapatikana.
Serikali inajaribu, wameanza kuweka mambo ya irrigation hapo. Serikali imeweka ile itafaidi Turkana na Pokot. Pia serikali imeweka mambo ya masomo. Kama hii shule sasa iko hapa hivi, kuna mpangilio mzuri. County government kupitia governor, kuna pesa atachenga dormitory. CDF itachenga madarasa mengine hapa hivi. Na utajua kwamba sasa hiyo ndio kitu kubwa ambayo imetuleta kuja kushukuru.